Nature does not have a dark side to it. Our Creator made it so that there is a process for Mother Nature and for all the animals and plants, including humans, to survive and live on Earth. But we as humans become greedy and want power over everything. We say it's about us, humans, and our needs for our supply and demand, trying to meet the needs of an ever-growing population. Today we fight amongst ourselves for water, the very essence that gives life to everything that our Creator created. We have been in a drought in the last 20 years, and water now is becoming so important. It's about supply and demand in the Colorado River Basin. It serves 40 million people, and right now we have upper basin, lower basin, 7 states, 2 countries, and 30 tribes, all vying for whatever water rights that they have to meet the needs of the future.
You have a pretty diverse set of people living in Southwest Colorado. It's an interesting mix of salt of the earth people coming from a lot of different perspectives. Some very conservative, some very liberal. There's a lot of people who are ranchers and farmers. Agriculture is super important to the culture of Southwest Colorado. So it's a microcosm of our whole nation in some respects.
Would you say the river brings those people together?
I probably would not say the river brings those people together. I'm sure you've heard the old phrase, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, right?
I have found that water can be complicated in the sciences, also can be very complicated in the legalities and trying to figure out the correct formula for allocations in an equitable manner. That really seems to be the biggest conversation that divides people.
Here we have quantified our water rights in the state of Colorado. There's ones out of the Dolores McPhee Reservoir, which we get 24,000 acre feet for ag use. And plus there's a 40-mile canal that takes the water, ag water, all the way to the farm and ranch.
You can farm in our area in the desert as long as there's water available in McPhee Reservoir. The Ute Mountain Farm and Ranch Enterprise will exist.
Yeah, I like them seeing in a small group, not in a big group.
That's intimidating.
And I keep my mouth shut because I like seeing them, but they technically are pests.
So don't tell Simon.
Well, no, we just don't tell anybody else. But the number one rule, you always make sure you take a blade with you. Now these weeds could be traveling from McPhee Reservoir or on Reach 3 itself, and they'll always come down here.
Really good.
Yep. And like I said, I wish I'd known this before I turned on the water, but this is what we do. Coming out. We shall continue on. Yep. It's turning it on, turning it off. But you have to work in between. And with different crops,
I just got to know where to put that water at, or I have to make the call saying, okay, we need to shut off water. So, and that's just what overall irrigation is. Yeah, that worked. My name and position is the operations manager / irrigations manager of the Humanity Farm Ranch Enterprise.
And your full name?
Michael Vicente. Water is one of the elements of life. I do my best not to waste it, no matter what. And water keeps agriculture going. Without water, there is no agriculture.
In 2021, we had a significant drought. We had 10% of our water allocation. So we went from our 24,500 acre feet allotment to about 1,700. So it affected employment, it affected how much farming we could do, which was minimal. We had one cutting of hay in a year that we might have had 4 cuttings, so it hurt us financially, and other individuals that had to lose their employment due to the drought. You know, people may think the tribe in general would receive the water first. That's not the way it is.
Just on the other side of that tank, on the other side of that hill right there, there's a farm right on the other side of that, and that's my dad. That was my dad's place. We grew up farming and working. My mom raised a garden that was bigger than some people farm right now, and to supply all of us kids, and that's how we grew up. We were poor, but we didn't know any different. We had all kinds of food. They kept us fed, you know. We were happy as could be. The Dolores River is everything to not only to MBIC, it's to this whole valley. There's very few towns and cities that you will find that's built off river. And without that Dolores River there and being able to divert that water into this basin, this whole valley and all the ag and everything that's here would not be here, period. That's all there is to it. Montezuma Valley Irrigation Company is a mutual ditch company. It's owned by its shareholders. By each share that I'm talking about amounts to so much water that you will get every year, depending on how many shares you own. Most of the rights to fill, like McPhee, are all secondary to MVI's water right. Because a lot of years during the drought years, and we cut that allocation down, we have a lot of people that'll run out, and you have to just go shut them off.
My name is Darryl Vigil. I'm an enrolled member of the Hickory Apache Nation, and I was their water administrator for 12 years. We saw during a global pandemic, if you didn't have access to clean water, you died. And today there's still 70,000 Navajos hauling water, Southern Ute Mountains, who haul water on a daily basis. And with this current climate crisis that we're all in, you know, it's just exasperated and highlighted the injustice and the lack of recognition of tribal sovereignty and tribal water rights.
Well, go back in history. When the Europeans and the pioneers first started coming to the state of Colorado, things were different back then, and they really wanted the land. Today, in 2024, it's about the water. Lake Nighthorse was one that was developed in the 2000. We have 16,000 acre feet of municipal and industrial. But we have, as the two tribes, no access, no delivery system for any of that water. But yet it sits there for a decade with no compensation, no use. It's developed and it's quantified, but no future development for access to it.
Originally, when the reservoir was being designed, it was going to be designed for ag use. The water cannot be moved unless money is being spent.
We would have to do a release, and it would go down into the Animas, and then it would cross state lines, New Mexico, into New Mexico, then we would bring it back in at the very four corners. But based on state compact, we cannot take it across state lines. If we do, we lose it.
The irony of the whole thing is it's named after a Native American senator, but the two Native American tribes that have water in there don't have access to it. And some of the excuses for by the federal government is that it's going to be too expensive to provide the infrastructure to build it to get it to the reservation, which I think is an excuse in terms of lack of willingness and probably an ongoing, whether intentional or structural, attempt, to continue to the institutional theft of tribal water, because it gets used by somebody else. We're in this for 150 years. And if we don't start thinking holistically about our system, there's going to be a segment of the population that's going to be severely impacted. And what segment is that? Those people who don't have capacity, those people who are poor, those people who don't have the resources to take care of themselves. Those people who are arguing for those rights, they'll be fine.
We've been relying on the McPhee Reservoir more and more every year.
The anticipation of it happening again, I think, is 50-50. We farm in the desert. So therefore, if there's less snow in the high country, there's a good possibility we get less water.
Well, I think the biggest thing is if we just make sure that we can keep being able to deliver the water that's available, we're going to have to adapt to a less amount. I mean, we've seen that in the last 20, 25 years several times where we had to really cut back severely, especially in 2002 here, and 2003 was really short. I mean, our water supply was so short, it was unreal. As a matter of fact, like this field right here next, because it's just in grass, I never irrigated it. Just left it dry for that whole summer. So it just burned up to nothing. But we just didn't have the water. I think people right now are so withdrawn from the fact of where their food comes from. They all think that food comes from that grocery store. It starts right here. Yeah, those farmers are using a lot of water, but they're producing a lot of food. We're talking about thousands and thousands of acres of produce and stuff that's being produced in this country for the amount of people that are here.
And God, it's just insane that I keep on saying it over and over. Where is the ag conversation? 70 to 80% of the water is under this banner. And yet, where are we talking about it now? We're not. It's crazy. The state representatives are talking about it, but if it's that much water, we better start thinking about where we grow shit, when we grow it, and how we grow it. Because we're going to have to. And the system is broken. It can't, and this as it exists, it can't be fixed.
I heard one young person say, "Why do we have to fight over it? Why can't we just all share it?" And when you think about that, that is the most simplistic way of putting such a super complicated conversation. Culturally, our people never believed water could be owned. My elders and my grandparents, if they were to sit with us today in this life, would probably be amazed at the conversations that we can speak to water being sold, being owned, being allocated, the uses and the laws that surround it. I'm a grandmother of 12. I'm raising 2 of my grandchildren in my home. My perspective changed. Now it isn't just me and my children. It's me, my children, and my grandchildren. There's that next generation.
I don't like the word, or the phrase, "well, we need to save the planet," because that's in line with what I think is that same arrogance of building a giant dam. You know, we're going to save the planet, like we have that ability to do that. No, we need to nurse this planet back to health.
I think it's something that most people just take for granted. They don't realize that to produce one hamburger is like 800 gallons of water, right? And that they don't understand that like water comes from snow and it comes into a drainage and then it's used for towns and industry and agriculture. They just turn on the tap and they don't think about it.
We stay away from each other because we make boogeymen out of each other. You know, the less time we can waste on, you know, the politics and egos and personal opinions, and to really get at problem solving, you know, the closer we'll be to start imagining a sustainable planet with 8 billion people on it. But it has to be imagined. And guess what? People are looking here at the Colorado River Basin to see what we're doing as humans.
We as tribal nations have lost a lot everywhere. Yet today we're still here advocating and proving our resilience as tribes for our children and grandchildren. Their future matters to us today.